Well, in case you missed it, do not worry. We got you covered. I got you back. We watched, so you didn't have to spend $49.99 on that pay-per-view, saving the American people money in the overnight. I was doing some live tweets. I didn't do every round, but I did send out a number of screenshots that I was taking there, watching the Mayweather fight. And Floyd Mayweather, almost 4 years removed from the fight against you-know-who, Conor McGregor, back in the ring, taking on that YouTuber, Logan Paul. This took place at the Dolphin Stadium there in South Florida. So you had the money team versus the social influencer team. And they danced around in the ring for a full 8 rounds. And as we told you in the lead up to the fight, nobody won. Nobody lost. I'm not even sure if the fight was a draw because there were no judges to say it was a draw. Officially, it just happened. And nobody won and nobody lost, which is like the perfect 2021 event, right? Nobody wins and nobody loses. Nobody's feelings can be hurt. All right, so let us discuss the question. What are your initial thoughts here on Floyd Mayweather being unable to knock out an amateur, a neophyte in boxing in Logan Paul? So I've got the haberdashery, wagons, and doctorate. And we will connect all of this together in the form of a MALLER monologue, and we'll try to make it passable. So first of all, listen, there's no other way to say it. This is a gigantic embarrassment for Floyd Mayweather. Now, he's laughing all the way to the bank, so it's likely he doesn't care. It's not officially a loss on his record. That was by design. He couldn't lose as long as the fight went all the way. You can't have a loss without judges unless there's a knockout. But in the court of public opinion, there are no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This is a loss for Floyd Mayweather. I don't care if he dominated the stat sheet. One of the great boxers of his time, unable to knock out a snot-nosed punk crybaby Logan Paul, a guy who got famous for eating Legos. He couldn't beat this guy. I don't care the age difference. It really didn't seem all that interested in even trying. The argument can be made that Floyd Mayweather didn't care about actually winning the fight. He just was dancing around. He's like, I'm getting paid, and reminded you of the Conor McGregor fight. You got to be kidding me. I mean, holy crap on a cracker. What are you doing? Floyd Mayweather, we don't know how much he's going to end up. He estimates $100 million, but he's got to visit the haberdashery on this one. Because this guy, he's got to wear the dunce cap. All right, Floyd Mayweather, in the build-up to this fight, did you listen to the nonsense? I know all boxers do this, and Mayweather's not alone, but Floyd Mayweather called this fight legalized bank robbery. No lies detected on that. But that's just the tip of the spear there. He bragged that he didn't need to train for this fight like it was a regular fight. Mayweather said he didn't need his A game or his B game or even his Z game against Logan Paul. Well, he went out there and performed like a guy that was going to dance around for a little bit, get a nice check, and call it a day. Now, secondly, the money team, they are already planting a bunch of excuses and alibis, and it's just despicable. It's just despicable, right? Deplorable. It's always someone else's. They're circling the wagons, right? They're all circling the wagons there on the money team. They're pointing fingers over here and over there and over there. They're pointing fingers in the air everywhere. And if you've not heard, they're blaming the size difference. That Logan Paul is 5.5 inches taller, and Mayweather's a little guy. And that was a huge height difference. But you knew that going in. The weight difference. Right? Mayweather was giving up 34.5 pounds. That's why the fight, he couldn't knock him out. The age difference. Floyd Mayweather's a grandfather. He's 44 years old, and he's a grandfather. He got started young with the hanky-panky. Logan Paul's 26. These are all things we knew going in, and nobody, this is why this is bullcrap on the Mayweather team. Because nobody on the Mayweather side before the fight was saying, well, Floyd can't knock this guy out because of the height difference, or Floyd's screwed because of the weight difference, or the age difference. They didn't say any of it. And then the moment that the fight ended, and it was an 8-round dance They were ballroom dancing. And when the fight ended, then they're like, well, all these excuses popped up. Oh, the age difference. He's too old, or he's too small. And stop. Right? Stop. And the Mayweather crowd, they were busting my balls, saying, well, Mayweather just doesn't knock people out, not his style. Well, he did have 5 KOs against legitimate fighters. 10% of Mayweather's fight, not TKO, I'm talking KO, knockout, 10%. You couldn't do it against a guy who does what? I don't even know how you would describe Logan Paul, other than taking advantage of bots and algorithms to get people to spend money on advertising for him. Blah, 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 blah. Listen, you can give your excuses to somebody. I don't want to hear it. I've heard enough, all right? It's the equivalent, and I'm trying to think of the perfect analogy here, but it's the one I came up with was like Michael Jordan at his age, right? Jordan's in his 50s here, losing a one-on-one matchup to Justin Bieber because Bieber decided he likes basketball and wants to play basketball one-on-one. And says, well, Michael Jordan. Now, the difference is Jordan's taller than Bieber and all that, but still the age difference and all that, you say, well, come on. He'd have no chance. You'd bet on Michael Jordan at his age over someone like Justin Bieber. Now, final thought here. So Floyd Mayweather, the thing that stood out, and being the boxing guy I am occasionally, selectively, on big pay-per-view fights when I choose to watch them, Floyd Mayweather was just not engaged. I mentioned it earlier here that I felt like early on he was doing the old rope-a-dope, and I know that's part of Mayweather's pedigree as a boxer, right? He lies back and kind of shells up and allowed, in this case, Logan Paul to tire himself out. And that's the good old money, right? That's the tactician in the ring, the sweet science, and he's feeling out the opponent. However, at no point in time did he flip the switch, pedal to the metal. He never brought the offense. And he seemed content and satisfied in just doing the 8 rounds, getting the check, and on to the next. On to the next. And that's exactly what happened. And you look at the numbers, and I guess these aren't CompuStats stats. These are the Showtime boxing pay-per-view stats. But Logan Paul attempted 217 punches. He was trying. I'll give him credit. I'm not a fan of his, but he was going for it. They weren't really successful. In fact, he only landed 13%, 28 total punches out of 217. Think about that. It's a lot of punches that didn't really make any contact, of meaningful contact. Floyd Mayweather, he attempted 110 less punches. 107 total punches for Money Mayweather to show you how disengaged he was. Now, he did connect on 43%, 40% against the bigger fighter. The jabs, Mayweather only attempted 14 of those. He was 50% on that. And Logan Paul, 73 jabs he attempted, converted only 7. 7 of 73. And this is a guy that Mayweather could not knock out. Power punches. Mayweather connected on 39% of his power punches, and Logan Paul attempted 144. He only connected on 21. That's 15%. So, listen, I'm giving you a lot of numbers here. The point is, when Floyd tried, he dominated. But his effort was just not there. It was a laissez-faire approach for Floyd Mayweather. The fight ended, and this was also telling, with the fans in the stadium there in Miami raining down boos from the upper balcony. Both Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather seemed in on the sham, like a couple of grifters in the night here. Near the end of the 8th and final round, they didn't aggressively try to end it with a knockout. They were just kind of smiling, and they were like, oh, it's almost over. We're getting close to the bell. Neither one of them was pressing the issue. And I get it. It's an exhibition fight. Both looked pleased that they had just pulled the wool over the unwashed hoi polloi. Now, it's going to take a day or two to find out how many people actually paid for this turkey. The big question, and this is the question that's really on the table here, is can these two continue to get away with highway robbery? Are there any limits to the money grab ability of Floyd Mayweather? Doesn't seem like it. Right? The money team has a doctorate in sports racketeering with these exhibition fights. And just to prove my point on how successful they've been. Floyd Mayweather. He's fought now Logan Paul, Conor McGregor, and a guy in Japan in exhibition fights. And he is tracking to have made in those 3 exhibition fights over $500 million. Over $500 million selling the Floyd Mayweather name and getting people to pay money, hard-earned money, to watch this garbage, right? Now, the streets have been talking about what's next. And we're hearing some buzz about a rematch with Logan Paul. I doubt that happens. But there are whispers about a Jake Paul matchup. That doesn't seem like it would make a lot of sense, but it would make a lot of money. And over the weekend, as I had heard years ago, 4 years ago, right after the fight, actually before the fight, that Floyd Mayweather they're talking to Conor McGregor about a rematch of that epic fight 4 years ago. A lot of time has passed, and a lot has changed in that time. McGregor's sold some of his business. He's got a lot more money. He's a lot richer than he was back then. But it really just all depends on how much dough the Mayweather empire needs. That's going to dictate his next move and where he's going to go, right? How much does he need to make to keep up the lavish lifestyle that Floyd's got for himself? And he's got a gambling vice and some other things that cost a lot of money there, that jiggle joint he owns in Vegas. And if he wants to make money, his personal ATM machine is the wallets of the suckers who pay for these fugazi fights.